Hey everybody, I'm Becky Adams. Thank you for stopping by the Scrapbook and Cards Today YouTube channel. Today I am sharing a layout with you that I created for the summer 2022 issue of Scrapbook and Cards Today magazine. So I did a couple of things off camera to get this project started. I started with a piece of white cardstock that I trimmed down, I believe, to 11.5 inches. So I just have a 1/4 of an inch border around the whole layout. And then I took a 6x6 paper pad from the Round Trip collection by Maggie Holmes and American Crafts, and I cut a whole bunch of strips to make a couple of borders on this layout. So I have one of the borders already in place and I'm adhering the other border. I am using just a tiny bit of dot runner adhesive from scrapbook.com, and I'm doing that because I will be stitching these strips on here in just a minute. So I'm just adhering this last strip, and then I will flip the page over and trim off the excess because there's a little bit, actually it's probably about 3/4 of an inch, and I'm just going to take my paper trimmer and trim that off. You could also use a pair of scissors, but it worked nicely for me to just use my paper trimmer and then just trim off this little bit on the edge too. And then I will take this over to my sewing machine, and I use a white thread and zigzag stitch in between each of the strips of pattern paper. So I did that off camera, and I'm back now with my stitching complete. And now I'm trying to decide which cardstock background I want to use on this page. So I have 3 or 4 options here, and I decided right away that I didn't like the coral or the pink option. And then I was still a little bit undecided with the navy and then kind of a dusty country blue cardstock background. So while I am deciding what I want that background to be, I'm going to go ahead and work on the rest of the layout. So I have 2 photos here. One is a 4x6 and the other one is 3x4. And I'm just going to adhere those to the background right up against that, that pattern paper strip border. So before I get too involved with the embellishment side of this layout, I want to make sure that I have my most important elements in place, and that would be my photos, journaling and date, and then the title. So now I'm just kind of laying everything out in place to make sure that I have my spacing right, and that kind of the embellishment clusters that I have, the ideas that I have in my head will, I've got room for, and they will work. So I still am not sure of the placement of that 3x4 photo. So I'm going to work on the embellishment clusters and the title. And I've just pulled out a few bits and pieces from the Round Trip collection that I think I want to use on this project. I love the title Explore, and I do go with that title. It's chipboard. It's from the 12x12 chipboard sheet. And you can see here that I am kind of playing around with some chipboard elements. And when I find a chipboard element that I want to use, I just usually peel off the sticker backing and adhere that with liquid glue. I always adhere my chipboard with a little bit of liquid glue. I just find that it stays put better, and it doesn't fall off into my page protectors when I have my layouts put into their albums. So now that I kind of have an idea of what I want my embellishment clusters to look like, I'm going to start adhering the little bits and pieces. So I adhered the title with the liquid glue, and then I'm adhering that die cut and the flower die cut with kind of tucking them under the title so that they're adhered with the liquid glue, but then I also adhere them with adhesive foam squares, and these ones are from Scrapbook Adhesives by 3L. And here at the top, I am adding another floral die cut. I wanted to balance that out with the floral die cut that I have in the bottom right corner. And while I'm finishing up with these embellishments, I wanted to make sure that you know that I have a travel class live over on the Scrapbook and Cards Today website. Whether you've gone on a trip recently or you have one coming up, or you just have a pile of photos from a vacation that you went on a while ago, this class is for you. I will make sure that all of the information is linked in the description box, but I would love to have you hop over and join that class with me. So I'm just finishing up the little embellishment clusters on this project, and I have the little binocular die cut. I thought it was so cute to kind of put that underneath so it looks like it's hanging off of that piece of chipboard that says remember. And then I've got that vellum circle, and adhering vellum can be tricky, but I put just a little dot of liquid adhesive underneath where the binoculars are so that you won't see it, but that piece is adhered nicely. So I'm still kind of messing with that die cut that says my favorite place below the title, and just making sure that I have the placement just exactly where I want it on that one. I have a few chipboard hearts that I wanted to kind of scatter around the page, and I played with the placement on these quite a bit. I wanted to balance out the colors and kind of accent the embellishment clusters instead of overwhelming them, if that makes sense. So I have this, it's an adorable little piece of ephemera. It's that world map, but it's out of vellum, and it's so cute. I wanted to use that, but it just didn't work with the design that I had. And then I tried this tag, and actually watching this back, I think the tag is really cute, and I kind of wish that I would have left it that way. But ultimately I decided that I didn't want the tag and that I wanted to add just those little hearts. So before I adhere everything down, I kind of play around with the color of heart and where I want that placed. So I think I finally got everything how I want it. And as I mentioned earlier, I just peel off the adhesive, and then I'm adhering all those little chipboard bits with liquid glue. Then I have just a couple more embellishments that I want to play with a little bit to see if I can make them work. That yellow flag is one of them. And as you've seen, I kind of put it on and took it off. A little bit undecided of where I want it. But here in the end, I did decide that I wanted it right there above the title. I love that little splash of yellow and the movement that it created around the title. So I adhere that with a little bit of tape runner and some pop dots. And then I have this little camera that I really wanted to include, and I put it, kind of tucked it in several different places. And again, watching this back, I really like it in that cluster there at the top, but ultimately it doesn't make it onto the final project. I don't know about you, but I kind of overthink the embellishment process here at the end because I don't want to throw anything off balance, and I want to make sure that what I add to the project adds to and accentuates the story, not just fills up space, I guess, if you know what I mean. So last but not least, I have this corner punch from We Are Memory Keepers. I love this tool so much. I use it all the time, and I wanted to add another pop of that. It's a mint color, and then it's got some gold foiling on it. I'm trying to think. I wanted to use it in one of the strips, but I ended up not using it on the strips, but it is so cute, and I love how it looks with those on the little photo corners. So I just put a little bit of adhesive and tucked it around the corner of the photo on the left, and then I'm also doing the same, and I'll tuck it around the photo on the right. Here in just a minute, I will go through with some liquid adhesive and adhere those to the photos. You definitely don't want to do that if you have a photo that is irreplaceable. These photos I just printed at home, and I have another copy, so I wasn't too worried about putting the liquid adhesive on there, but that is something that you want to keep in mind when using those photo corners. I've found they do require a little bit of liquid adhesive. Okay, and then to finish things off, I just finally made the final decision on which background I wanted to use, and I went with the lighter blue background, and I think it turned out perfect. I love how it's not too stark and it's not too bold. I didn't want it to overwhelm what I already had going on. This layout's kind of busy, and I just wanted to kind of finish things off with a nice cardstock border. So thank you so much for stopping by the Scrapbook and Cards YouTube channel. Make sure you check out the summer 2022 issue of Scrapbook and Cards Today magazine, as well as my travel class. Thank you again for stopping by, and I'll see you again soon.